In the TV and film portion of episode 144 of the Mustardcast, we go over the live action shows and movies we've been watching lately, react to the second trailer for Mortal Kombat 2, discuss the first look at Kratos and Atreus in live action, relay our disappointment in the Lanterns trailer, and discuss the future of WB and the entertainment industry as a whole. Please enjoy. So, moving on to TV and film, we have the return of Christian.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How have you been?
I've been doing all right. It's great to return to the show. Also, it's been a lot of entertainment stuff going on. I feel like that you're far beyond the post-COVID like eater drought. Now it's just thing after thing after thing coming out. So yeah, excited to talk about some stuff with y'all.
Cool. I think I'll start us off with what I've been watching. I only watched one thing. Haven't been watching a lot of TV and film stuff lately. Usually, I feel like while you were awake, Christian, I was the one that had the most. But now I don't be having a lot. But recently, me and a group of friends from high school, which includes Bree, who I've mentioned earlier in the podcast, taking a break because they're just busy with life. But we've started watching movies together via Discord, like every other Sunday, which we might watch one today, or it might get delayed because a friend's birthday is coming up, so we might just all get together and watch something in person. But we the first movie we watched was Fistful of Dollars, and
Banger.
it was my first time watching it. I believe it was the first time of everybody in there watching it, and it was good, great movie. The first in that trilogy of movies by Sergio Leone. And we definitely plan on watching for a few dollars more eventually. But rather than jumping straight into that, the second movie we watched was Yojimbo, and I chose that movie because I started watching it like a couple years ago. Got 47 minutes in, but for some reason didn't watch it. Finish watching. I might have fell asleep or something, and just never got back around to it. But I didn't realize until I read the description that this is the movie that Leone copied for Fistful of Dollars, and it was very coincidental. I had no idea until I read the description. I was like, wait, that sounds like the plot of Fistful of Dollars, and I know that like Leone stole some ideas from um, Kurosawa, and I didn't know which one. I didn't know which ones exactly. I thought it was The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but apparently it was Fistful of Dollars. So it probably was also The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, but I'm excited to eventually get to The Good, Bad, and Ugly, but we got to watch for a few dollars more first. But yeah, Yojimbo was good. It was just startling seeing the similarities. Like the beginning especially was very similar. Once it got to there's a moment where the main character talks to like this dude who owns like a restaurant and a very similar or bar, and a very similar thing happens in Fistful of Dollars. And I was like, man, this is really the same movie. um, but yeah, good movies, both of them. And I'm excited to watch some more. But yeah, hey, what have you been watching in terms of live action TV and film?
So, live action TV and film. Let's talk about it. Because actually, I do have something for once. Usually, I have nothing for this section. But me and a friend of mine have been steadily going through Star Trek Deep Space Nine to give it a fair shot after we both kind of snubbed it a lot in our childhood. So we've been watching Deep Space Nine again. We just watched the season finale yesterday. And all I have to say is that like Deep Space Nine hate is kind of unwarranted because it low key goes crazy. It low key goes crazy. I think I hated it when I was younger because I didn't really understand the politics behind Deep Space Nine, and also they don't go anywhere like other Star Trek seasons. But now that I'm older, I'm like, wow, what a difficult situation Commander Sisko is in. And that's been really fun. We're gonna watch more, and probably if not tonight, then like soon. But that's really it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what about you, Christian?
Funny enough, over the hiatus, I watched Yojimbo too.
That's
Yeah, I watched Yojimbo.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Was that your first time?
And that was my first time watching it. I just at the start of the hiatus, I just watched. I watched High and Low first. First film I watched was High and Low, and I finally finished it. Watched through that, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good, it was a very good thriller drama, and yeah, it was just cool being able to see modern setting Kurosawa film and
Yeah,
then immediately go
I,
to a samurai film.
yeah, I really want to watch High and Low. I want to watch some more modern setting Kurosawa
But yeah,
movies.
and and the same cinematic language, like the way he blocks characters is just so cool, and the way that he places people in the frame. Even in Yojimbo, the one scene where he arranges the two mobs to fight against each other, but no one's hitting each other and they're moving back and forth. Like some of the composition stuff that he does is very cool. And yeah, Sergio Leone was like, I'm gonna do that, but with cowboy hats. It's literally those films. So it was cool to see where a lot of that Western language came from and how a lot of that Western language eventually would turn into what Star Wars became. Like you can see all of
Yeah,
that synergy.
like that Western and samurai inspiration, where they're both directly inspired by each other. Ended up being
Exactly.
both of them ended up directly influencing Star Wars, and then eventually we got a more literal Western story set in the Star Wars universe with the Mandalorian.
Right.
And I hope one of these days we get a more literal samurai story set it within the world of Star Wars, because it's always been a little samurai, but I would love for them to do what they did with Mandalorian, but for an actual like samurai story. It'd be even more interesting if it wasn't a Jedi or a Sith
I,
or just a Force user in general. It was just a person with a lightsaber.
right. Yeah. And I feel like they've gotten close to it. Like in Visions, they did a short film where it was somewhat samurai based. But yeah, it would be cool to see them get into that bag more. Um, in regards to shows, only show I've been watching right now with my partner is His and Hers, like a drama on Netflix. And it's definitely like your normal small town, like murder mystery type story. It's a bit on the soapy side, but it's very well shot and well acted. So it's been a good watch so far. And yeah, overall that's really been it. Yeah, just really watching stuff like that.
Getting into a bit of a trailers and news. Let's start with the second trailer for Mortal Kombat 2. Um, it continues to look leaps and bounds better than the first movie. Did you guys manage to check out the trailer?
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
does look way better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did either of you see the first movie?
I didn't see the first movie.
I don't think I
You're
did.
not missing
Yeah.
out on anything.
Yeah.
This you could for sure probably just hop into this one and you don't need to see the first movie. They're probably going to kill the main character from the first movie at the beginning, I bet. The first movie made the horrible mistake of creating a new character to be the lead instead of just choosing one of the characters from Mortal Kombat's iconic roster. And the second movie is fixing that mistake by making Johnny Cage the main character.
Mm.
And the movie will also actually feature the tournament this time, because that also wasn't in the first movie. Um, it still looks kind of cheap in a lot of ways, but that Loki gives it some charm for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I am excited for this one. Far more excited than the first one. I forget when it comes out. Let me check. May 8th. So
Wow.
literally a
That's
month,
so
literally
soon.
like 2 months away. Crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Um,
Oh,
to the day. But yeah, next we've got there was a still of the God of War live action series on Prime, posted to social media and various different sites, and it looks interesting. We got our first look at Ryan Hurst, who plays Thor, funnily enough, in God of War Ragnarok, and well, not the first one because he doesn't appear in the first one. And Callum Vincent is Atreus, and Ryan Hurst is Kratos. I should have said that. And yeah, it just looks a little uncanny. It doesn't look quite right. Um,
I
So, mhm.
yeah, and I think a lot of that just comes from a combination of it being a behind the scenes photo and not an actual shot from the show. Combined with how realistic the games already look, so we already have very specific faces and body types attached to these characters. So this just looks odd. Um, I think that the finished product will probably look a lot better, and I don't like necessarily agree with people who think that they should have started with like the Greek saga. Um, I think that 2018 and Ragnarok are made to work, like whether you've played the OG games or not. So it makes sense to start from there. And I think that its cinematic nature makes it just much more suitable for a live action adaptation.
Mm.
With that said, I also hope that we get an adaptation of the Greek games, but specifically in animation, because that's the medium that I think those games would be better adapted in. But yeah, what did you guys think?
I thought it. I agree. It's just the same uncanny aspect of the art direction looks very similar, but
Hmm.
we're just so accustomed to seeing the way that the characters look. So it's like everything else looks like the game, but the faces, folks, I feel like it was a beard gate on the internet. Everybody was talking about Hearst's beard. Um,
Yeah, I think that Brian Hurst he looks too like what's the Western European. I think that's the problem. I
Yeah.
think he's too regular white. He has too much of a regular white man face and not enough
Yeah.
of a Mediterranean white person's face.
Yeah,
Like
like that's just a white dude in body paint to me.
whereas Kratos
And
has
that's not
a lot of ethnic features and he's been voiced by only black people. Or well, specifically the adult versions of him. The kids versions I think have been voiced by white people. But like T.C. Carson and Christopher Judge, both black guys. So like he just has the energy of a person of color, whether that be black or just, a Greek person who might be mixed with other things. Like so like seeing just this straight just white man
yeah,
and like Kratos cosplay, it just looks strange.
yeah,
yeah. But it doesn't look bad. I think once the series actually comes out, we'll get used to it and it'll actually be pretty fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want Amazon Prime to mess up their streak because so far they've been pretty good with the video game adaptations.
Hmm.
I want this to be good. I'm not
Right.
hoping this is
Yeah.
bad just because we got this one shot that looks a little weird.
Right, it's like it's just one shot, and there's been so many times when one shot has came out from a thing and a product actually came out very good.
An
Hmm.
So
example that I've seen people use is Mad Max Fury Road. Where if you
mm,
just seeing those still shots that they posted before the movie came out, you would think it would be the worst movie in the world, and it turned out to be incredible.
right,
But last episode we discussed uh what was quite possibly the best PlayStation State of Play of all time, where
oh
they
yeah,
announced a God of War trilogy remake. Could we get your quick thoughts on that while we're talking God of War, Chris?
oh absolutely, yeah. I thought that state of play was very fun. It just, I don't know, it felt nostalgic because it was just a lot of fun surprises. It was cool seeing TC Carson come back. And I think the idea of the original God of War games getting a remake is just, it's very exciting. And it makes me just wonder, like, are they still going to do beat 'em up, or is it going to be in a style of the Norse games where it's like more close camera, parry based combat? The possibilities are definitely vast in regards to that.
I think the one thing I don't want is a close camera. Like the camera's gonna be third person. You can control the camera yourself, and it's not gonna be fixed camera like the older games. And I accept that, but that camera better be pulled way back.
Yeah,
I do not want that camera to be right on Kratos' neck like it is in the current games.
yeah.
If I can see his neck veins, it's too close.
Also, Silent Hill Black protagonist. That's pretty tough.
Yeah,
That's cool.
we can talk about that later though.
Oh yeah, oh my fault. The John Wick game or Untitled John Wick game. I hope that's just the name of the game.
It's probably just gonna be
Untitled
John Wick.
John
Yeah,
Wick.
it's just gonna be John Wick because there's only
Yeah,
one John Wick game that I know of. It's John Wick Hex. And that isn't necessarily the type of John Wick game people are looking for. So it's probably just gonna be called John Wick. There's no reason to give it any other kind of name other than John Wick. Like that's enough. That's all you need. There's no other game that's just called John Wick.
also, did they show Control Resonant during the state of play?
They did.
Yeah, that looks that I, yeah. I don't even know how to talk about it with words.
But we'll
That
save that.
game.
We can you can talk about like more about the other stuff you saw there at the beginning of the video game section.
Okay, got you. Yeah. It was just a very cool state of play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, next we got the first official teaser for Lanterns on HBO Max. It was released a day early after it leaked on the day it was announced to be coming out tomorrow. So like it was announced to be coming out the next day, and then it got leaked like a little bit after that. So they were just like, oh, well, we're just gonna post it. And This trailer was disappointing as hell. Months ago, we heard that this would be a True Detective inspired buddy cop story starring Kyle Chandler as an older Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as John Stewart. And that immediately concerned all comic book fans because of all the characters to do this with. The Green Lanterns are the last ones they should have. Unless said story took place on an alien planet, which would be a fun way to do that style of story with, DC's premier cosmic heroes. But instead, it takes place in Middle America and is the grayest and brownest thing I've ever seen, with little to no green. No wonder it's just called lanterns. So, what did you guys think? Not to lead the conversation in a negative way.
In watching the trailer again, I completely forgot that this was supposed to be Green Lantern related until you said something. So, I have very low expectations.
Alex Ross is excited about it.
Yeah, Alex Ross, you could tell he was upset. He just kept posting a bunch of pictures of Green Lantern, full costume. Because that man, Alex Ross, doesn't draw Green Lantern in anything but the classic costume.
And and I'm gonna say something. At least the Ryan Reynolds film went cosmic with it. At least they went cosmic with it and like allowed it to get sci-fi and weird. I grounding lanterns and trying to turn it into Fargo, it just feels very bizarre. Like it just stylistically it doesn't fit. And yeah,
Yeah.
like what you're already saying, watching this, you would not think this is about the Lantern Corps at all.
Yeah, and like I bet you a lot of people watching this don't even know that it is. It's called Lanterns. It's not called Green Lantern. Some people probably watch this trailer having no clue what it is, that it's even a DC related thing. Um, but it's being showrun and written by Chris Mundy, and it is also being written by Tom King. Mundy is a producer known for working on a bunch of crime dramas like True Detective, Criminal Minds, and Ozark. While Tom King is a comic book writer. I've talked about him before. He wrote Mr. Miracle. He wrote Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which we've read for this very podcast, and is
Yeah.
the direct inspiration for the upcoming Supergirl movie. And he's writing the current horrible Wonder Woman run that he needs to get off of. He needs to get off that goddamn book. Hopefully by the end of the year he's off the book.
That's the misogynist guy, right?
Um,
or the weirdly, like, he writes women weird?
It varies
I
from
think of
book to
another
book.
guy.
Yeah, that's the guy. But he's also known to have worked for the CIA, and that has very, very,
That's a
very
crazy drop. That's
yeah,
crazy lore.
and that has very understandably resulted in a lot of people not liking him because the CIA sucks. And
I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting.
yeah, no, Tom King kind of sucks, but unfortunately, good writer in a very specific way. He should not be writing ongoing comics. That's why he's Wonder Woman so bad. He's good at writing short stories, miniseries. He should not be writing a long ongoing series. He's just not built for it.
Yeah.
But like, even though I don't like what they're doing, I don't want it to fail because I don't want the DCU to fail. I just wish that they chose literally any other characters for this. Because the thing is, the idea isn't bad. It's not a bad idea.
Not at
They're
all.
doing something that I talk about all the time. Yeah, you take these characters, you throw them into a different genre that isn't just the same action comedy with a little bit of drama that we get over and over again from Marvel. And that, well, DC didn't even really try to replicate it. But like, yeah, doing something different from what Marvel is doing all the time, which is just that same genre. Yeah, you need to do that, and these characters can fit into a bunch of different genres. The problem is you got to choose the right character and the right genre. You can't just be throwing these characters into anything. Now, this story will work better if it was like if they needed it to be Green Lantern, if they desperately wanted this to be a Green Lantern story, but they wanted it to be this buddy cop, True Detectives, like detective noir story. Set it on an alien planet. Have it be on an alien planet that somewhat resembles a Midwestern American town, but it's full of aliens. That way,
really easy to do.
And you give them their full-on Green Lantern garb, because when the Green Lanterns are off planet, they're not usually wearing regular clothes. They're wearing their Green Lantern uniform. So you get them out there in their good comic accurate Green Lantern uniforms on a different planet. Hal Jordan's training up John Stewart, and they're solving some mystery on an alien planet surrounded by aliens. But the story itself still feels grounded. The fantastical and sci-fi parts of it come from the fact that they have these magic rings and the people that they're trying to help. and the whatever mystery they're trying to solve revolves around aliens. But that's all they needed to do. But if they really needed it to be on Earth specifically, you don't do Green Lantern. You do like if it didn't need to be sci-fi, which it feels like they don't care about the sci-fi element. So if you didn't want it to be sci-fi, it could have been The Question. It could have been Sandman. It could have been maybe not Detective Chimp. That might be a little too wacky for him. A little monkey that can talk. It could have been John Constantine. It could have been if they wanted it specifically to be sci-fi, they could have done Hawkman and Hawkgirl. If they wanted to be buddy cop, they could have did those two. But you're gonna agree with me, eh? And you've only read one comic book of them so far. A character who doesn't have a lot of solo comics, but but damn near every single one of his solo comics is about being a detective in the Midwest, is Martian Manhunter.
Duh! Wait, you're so right.
If they wanted to do a sci-fi detective story with a character whose most of his stories take place being a detective in the Midwest in America on Earth, and he's an alien, you do Martian Manhunter. They could have taken so many avenues to get to the same spot and not upset the hardcore fans who actually know about these characters and read the comics. I don't understand why they chose Green Lantern of all characters to do this with. It's so weird. And it has nothing to do with popularity, because the first DCU project was Creature Commandos. Nobody knows who those characters are. I didn't know who half of them were. Fucking Peacemaker got 2 seasons of a show. And I would argue that the average person knows just as much about Martian Manhunter as they do Green Lantern. They just know that they're a DC character and they're on the Justice League, and that's about it. They might know a little bit about their powers and what they look like. That's the end of that. So like they could have done Martian Manhunter. And if they and lastly, if they really was like, we need it to be a Green Lantern, they could have done the OG Green Lantern, Alan Scott, who is a completely Earth-based hero. And yeah, or they could have done Hal Jordan as the Spectre, who the Spectre, the previous person to hold that mantle, was a detective. Like, there's 1,000 different ways they could have done this.
Right.
So let me ask you something. I'm going to ask you specifically, Chris, because I think A knows the answer. Do you know what DC stands for in DC Comics?
Detective Comics.
They're called Detective Comics. I promise you, they're not short on detectives. You could have chosen any one of the dozens of detectives in Detective Comics. Green Lantern isn't one of them.
Yeah.
I'm so mad. Why did they do this? We got a small glimpse at Kyle Chandler's Green Lantern uniform. It looks horrible. I don't understand why it's so brown or why it's so baggy. It's weird. This frustrates me because now we're in a lose-lose situation. Because I don't want it to suck, because that would be bad for the DC universe. And then if it's good, you're making a bunch of people think this is something that it isn't. Like Green Lantern is something that Green Lantern isn't. So since this is what it is, I just want to hope that it's way more sci-fi than they're letting on, and they're hiding that. That's like best case scenario.
Yeah.
Is that there's way more like ring usage and green lights and constructs and stuff like that and aliens than they're letting on. And that this is like best case scenario, this is a Men in Black like situation, and it's just a bunch of secret aliens.
That could be fun.
That would actually be really fun.
That would be fun.
That's how you make a
maybe hopefully that's the angle they're going for.
Even though that would still work better with Martian Manhunter, at least that would be better.
Yeah.
I want to have hope, but they're not making me feel hopeful.
Yeah. And you make a good point. Like, been a lot of people that have critiqued Tom Holland's Spider-Man and talked about how, like, even in other games, like in the Marvel Avengers game that doesn't exist anymore, a lot of voice performances for Peter Parker sometimes now aim towards this whiny, like Mr. Stark. Like, there's like a more like youthful, fumbling type voice associated with Spider-Man sometimes now. And it all comes from that performance in those Marvel films. Not that Tom Holland wasn't a great Spider-Man, but because of those films, it kind of affected how people performed the character a bit. Now he's kind of like whiny. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm inexperienced, but I'm here. Um, yeah, that it would be unfortunate if Lanterns is like a popular series and people talk about it, and then that's the way people view the characters forever now.
Yeah, and some people like very few people. I haven't seen it a lot, but I've seen some people try to say that, yeah, it's like it's subverting things, and I'm like, subverting what? You can't subvert something that people don't know about. If
Right.
people don't know about something and you try to subvert it, you're just teaching them that this is what that thing is. You're not subverting anything.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, that Spider-Man thing annoys me because Spider-Man is supposed to be much closer in age to all of these heroes than he is in like every single adaptation. And the comics also refuse to let him grow up.
right.
Spider-Man is supposed to be around the same age as Jessica Jones, the woman that's married to Luke Cage and has a child with him.
Oh well.
Spider-Man is supposed to he's supposed to be way older than people perceive him to be. He's supposed to be
Because I definitely.
like you probably perceive characters like Cyclops and Jean Grey and especially Beast, because Beast nowadays is perceived to be like significantly older than characters like Cyclops and Jean Grey, even though he's maybe a couple years older than them, because
Mm,
they were the original X-Men, them, Iceman and Angel. They were teenagers
mhm.
when they started. Guess who was
Yep.
also a teenager when they started? Spider-Man. You know what that means?
Peter Parker.
Spider-Man is the same age as them.
Oh, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
Exactly. A lot of
yeah,
people see
That's
Spider-Man as
crazy
like,
to
yeah,
think about.
Spider-Man's like 10 years younger than Cyclops. No. Spider-Man's maybe 1 or 2 years younger than Cyclops. F that. He might be the same age.
yeah. And they just they every time Peter gets a bit older, they're just like, up one more day.
Yeah. But that's a whole different conversation for
I'm
another
sorry,
time.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
So last but certainly not least, we're gonna discuss the fact that Netflix is declining to raise their bid for Warner Brothers Discovery against Paramount. So, and that would leave the Zionist and openly Trump supporting Paramount to potentially purchase Netflix. Uh, Look, Netflix having WB might have meant the end for theaters, but at least it wouldn't have been in the hands of someone who is openly supporting Trump. Now, whether or not they're doing it behind closed doors, who knows? But at least we wouldn't have someone who's openly supporting Trump. Now, just like, well, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But just like with Netflix a few months ago, this has not actually gone through, despite them acting like it. Like Netflix tried to do the same thing, and we talked about that very briefly. Like it has not gone through. Don't let them convince you it's gone through. Okay, because they're trying to. When I talked about it before, I had like pulled a quote from someone who pulled like this specific like psychological thing that like companies try to do, where they try to convince you that something's set in stone even when it's not. I mean, that is what they're trying to do. This is not set in stone. There's a chance this could just get overturned. Unfortunately, we all know the world revolves around money. And just like with Disney and Fox, it might just go through anyway because they've got enough money to just make it happen. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Chris, we never got your take on the situation. So, what are your opinions?
Yeah, Netflix and Warner Brothers definitely would have affected the theater system and affected the way that these movies get distributed for sure. Yeah, that Netflix, and this is just retrospectively, Netflix could say they care about the theatrical experience, but that's not a solid guarantee. And also, it's like you have your AMC and your Regals before your small theater houses that are closing down at a high alarming rate. It's what do you say towards them? But that was the past worries. That was the worries before. But yeah, in the case of Paramount, you can go through. But in the case of Paramount potentially owning Warner Brothers, it's just oligarchy 101. Not to get too critical and like in that like that policy bag, but like yeah, it's oligarchy 101, and
Hmm.
it's definitely this it's like thinking about what CBS has been doing to Colbert, or thinking about what like kind of just a lot of things that has happened with the FCC or just media in general. It sets a bad precedent for what like a Paramount could think, or what a Paramount would want to put out into the mainstream, like immediately it
Mhm.
just and a lot of people have been asking this question, like with Paramount owning Warner Brothers, could another Sinners get made? Like, are things that are
Mm.
remotely somewhat left leaning or have any sort of critiques of capitalism or have socialist ideas, would anything like that make it to the finish line? Like it was Twitter's been I mean Twitter's Twitter, but there have been some people that have been kind of funny and have been releasing like post Paramount Warner Brother deal versions of Superman. And it was like Bravia has a right to exist, Lois. Like people have been so silly.
Like
People have been so
I feel like people have glossed over the fact that that movie does just straight up have Israel Palestine like allegory within it, and I feel like we kind
no,
of just gloss over that and like that they managed to do that, even if it was using fictional versions of it was crazy, and to very clearly be on
Mhm.
the side of Palestine. Shout out
yeah.
to James Gunn for making that happen.
Shout out to
For
James
sure.
Gunn. And
Shout
it's
out to
like,
James Gunn.
oh, for real though. And it's like, would Paramount be game for that?
No.
And that's the thing. It just, it,
And
yeah,
you bring up an interesting point, Christian. You were like, I don't want to get into the policy of it, but I think that getting into the policy of it is really important
yeah.
because, like, on the surface, of course, this is just like a media acquisition deal, but, like, underneath all that, this is another notch in the censorship pistol. This is another notch in the kind of decline of media in the arts. Like,
Mhm.
because of censorship, and it's like I don't know, that scares me, that really scares me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything there. Yeah, it's such a very bad precedent. And it's just another step closer to state owned media. And
Hmm.
that is, I mean, goodness, to be a creative right now,
Yeah,
it just,
just
it,
Is bleak.
the
yeah.
laws surrounding entertainment are just so behind,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and like so many more safeguards need to be put in place to protect the entertainment industry in so many various different ways. Specifically, the the creatives, because they are always the ones that getting fucked over by the people
Hmm.
up top who just want to make money. Um, and especially like we're talking about now with them, we're now in a position where they could try and censor things because they
Hmm.
just have far too much power, and that there needs to be more checks and balances in regards to the entertainment industry as a whole. But the government right now definitely doesn't want checks and balances. Um,
Nope.
but
It feels like we're sliding back into the Hays Code era, and that's
Exactly.
not good. That's
Yeah.
not good at all.
Yeah.
yeah, I want to
Yeah.
talk about a few kind of just some additional info I came across about some details that Paramount has revealed regarding like what they want to do after this merger goes through. I'm getting some of this from discussing films on Twitter. So just a few bullet points. They say that HBO Max and Paramount Plus will be combined into one service, um, which will probably be ludicrously expensive. They will try to have 15 films per studio with 45-day theatrical windows for each film, which is that feels insane to me.
That's very
Uh,
insane.
the merged company will have approximately 79 billion in debt. It's insane that you can have that much debt and buy a company and accrue more debt. It's insane to me.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
they would implement 16 billion in cost cutting, including consolidating on tech infrastructure, real estate, corporate overheads, and
Boy.
more. They have no plans to sell or spin off any of their cable assets. And they will continue to license movies and TV shows to other studios and platforms. And lastly, but oh god, not least, AI will be a tool for artists, but never a
Ugh,
replacement for storytellers.
I don't believe that.
Okay. I don't believe that either.
Beyond a
Um,
shadow of a doubt, I don't believe that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna see a lot more AI generated movies and scripts. Are we
Yeah.
excited?
Uh,
But this hasn't gone through yet. We can't talk like that.
no, yeah. I don't even know where to start. And it has been a long trend. And hey, I'm very glad that you mentioned the Hayes Code. Is yeah, in regards to what there's been a war in regards to what's considered to be obscene or not, especially in regards to policy. Um, and a lot of what folks have in regards to the language of what's considered obscene or language for what an obscenity is and what should be on
Hmm.
screen or not, a lot of it is just very anti-other, a lot of it is very anti-queer, and just a
Yep.
lot of it's just very violent in regards to what's considered an obscenity or not. And it is very Hays Code type language, like in regards to like certain relationships being shown on television, whether
Hmm.
interracial
Hmm.
or homosexual, or like various types of relationships on TV being considered quote unquote obscene.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is scary to see just the overlap between
Yep.
just policy on a state level, but also it leaking into cinema.
Hmm.
And I think this is my hope. I hope that a cinema brat era can happen again, and the same sort of empowerment that led to folks like Sam Raimi being able to make an Evil Dead and just make it and show it in theaters on his own dime. Like, I think this is the time for independent film now more than ever, and for film
Especially,
communities
yeah.
to band together, especially as like physical media is starting to come back. And
Because Iron
just
Lung is a really good example of that, of like an indie filmmaker making a film on their own dime and it doing amazing, right?
right,
Granted,
yeah,
it's coming
perfect.
from a YouTuber that is like one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet and makes a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that's a very specific situation. But
and it is a
Yeah.
specific
yeah, we
situation.
also. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it is a specific situation. But he's not like a Lionsgate,
Yeah,
like he's
Mm,
not like a Paramount, and that I think the idea that people that have the resources can just put out a film and get consideration and not go through the studio system, it is specific.
yeah,
But
for
I
sure.
do think it's definitely,
it's a step in
I,
the
I,
right direction.
yeah. I want to see more Sam Raimi's. That's my hope. Like just
Hmm.
more folks to just like
Yeah, I just think
embrace physical medium again.
yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, like the economic state of the world. I hate saying that, but it makes it hard for people to just fund their own stuff. It's easier
Yeah.
to put your stuff out there, but as belts get tighter in terms of money, it gets harder to
Mhm.
actually produce it.